understand what you said a second ago about we have the fancy opening. We have a opening. It is not the next generation fancy opening that I hope to get us one day, but the search continues. The creation continues, rather. Quantic, how you doing
Yeah,
today, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I already provided some suggestions. I think we should include the shipyard colors or logo or a QR code. And it's going to be beneficial for us and for the people that are watching and want to learn more fast. You just scan a QR code and you're all set.
100%, 100%. I think that'll make it a lot more worthwhile, a little bit more efficient with our time and space. And I think there's some cool things that we can do. I think it's just healthy to switch it up a little bit, um, but I think we can make it quite a bit more entertaining as well, so that people have something to enjoy and get hyped up about as they're waiting for us to dive into our live stream. So yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity. We definitely should not fade. In saying that, welcome, everyone. My name is Trav. This is Quantic. Together, we are Web3 Matters. And today's going to be a really fun topic, actually. First of all, we have some very interesting news topics to get into today. Things have been shifting like crazy in the AI world, especially amongst the I don't know if we call them whales, but the behemoths of the AI industry. So we're going to dive into that first, but then we're going to talk about the debate of OpenClaw versus Hermes, and we're going to get into our experience with Hermes, and we're gonna give you guys the pro Hermes debate here. Um, so yeah, Quantic, what are your thoughts on diving into our what's the word I'm looking for? Our live stream today. There it is.
Yes, sir, I'm ready. And to be honest, today's sessions, at least on my end, it was prepared by Hermes itself, including the report that was double checked by ChatGPT and concluded the same. So I'm pretty happy about like the confidence in the results that we're gonna show. And if you haven't tried yet, we have been telling you for about 2 or 3 months, like nonstop to go beyond using ChatGPT, Gemini, or Cloud Code and get your hands dirty with these AI agents, particularly with OpenClaw and or Hermes. The reason is because it's the way this field is going to evolve in terms of unlocking productivity. So anyway, Trav, I will ask you about your experience with, I think it's Hermes, what you got into it. But before that, I think we should do a quick review of the most important news of the week. We have quite some interesting events. I don't know what happened with X and cloud, but I know that I can benefit from it and I can use more cloud credits without paying more, which is great.
Yes. No, that's huge. It's huge. And we're about to get into the reason why that's such a big deal. I know before I kind of dug into this, I noticed that Anthropic had a live stream on X. I think it was 2 days ago now, and they had an insane turnout, something like over 30 to 40,000 viewers on their X live stream, which was nuts here. But so I thought it was just some internal thing that happened with Anthropic, but I was mistaken. Apparently, it goes much deeper than that, and it involves Elon Musk. So basically, this is Musk powers Anthropic, and the real target here behind this is Sam Altman and OpenAI. So apparently, so this was the headline that broke the AI world this week. So
Perhaps, Trav, you can share your screen for sharing this news because then when we show it on the like the recaps that we do on the shorts, it looks like we're us like kind of reading slow the news. And I think it would be great if people can have like visual access to it. But I don't know if that's a problem with your current setup.
let's make that happen. Let's make that happen. Here we go. So here, this is from NBC News. Pulling it up right now. Also, we don't seem to be streaming to Pump right now for some reason. So I apologize to our viewers who are usually tuning in on pump.fun here. Doesn't seem to be working at the moment. Let me just double check. Yeah, doesn't seem to be working here. We have kind of dead air over there, so I'll have to figure out what's going on there. But I digress here. So Anthropic and SpaceX, actually. So the headline that broke the AI world this week, SpaceX, which just absorbed XAI and rebranded the whole AI division as SpaceX AI. I did not know that. They signed a deal to lease the entire compute capacity of its Colossus One data center to Anthropic. So that in itself is huge. So we're talking 220,000 plus NVIDIA GPUs, over 300 megawatts of capacity effective immediately. Now, think about the optics of this. So in February, Musk publicly called Anthropic misanthropic, called them evil, said they hate Western civilization, and accused them of stealing data at massive scale to train Claude. This week, after spending time with senior Anthropic leadership, Musk literally said, and I quote, "No one set off my evil detector. 3 months total reversal." So why? So there are two reasons, and the second one is the real story. So the reason one is the money, of course. Space SpaceX is filing for an IPO targeting 1.75 to $2 trillion in valuation, with the public S1 expected late this month and the roadshow starting June 8th. All important details. So adding Anthropic as a named compute customer turns idle GPU capacity into high margin recurring revenue, um, which is right in line before going public with the IPO. So XAI was reportedly only using about 11% of its GPU power. So this deal converts a write down into a revenue stream, which is huge. So reason two, the most important one, and this is the part Axios called out directly, it's a hit on Sam Altman from OpenAI. So Musk is mid lawsuit against OpenAI, if you guys don't already know, the company he co-founded. So Anthropic is OpenAI's biggest direct competitor. So a tech market researcher named Ben Huladian, I messed that up. But anyways, put it perfectly on X. He said, Elon's enemy is Sam. Dario's enemy is Sam. Enemy of my enemy is a compute partner. And that's the play. So Musk just took his rival's biggest constraint. Anthropic was reportedly capping Claude usage all over the place because Dario said they planned for a 10x growth and got 80x, and he solved it for a price. And what does Anthropic do immediately with that capacity? They double Claude code rate limits across Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise. They remove the peak hour throttling, and they raise Opus API rate limits significantly. If you've been getting limit locked on Opus this past month, that's why, and it's fixed. And the last thing here is the deal also includes Anthropic and SpaceX exploring multiple gigawatts of orbital AI compute data centers in space, which is wild. So we're not just realigning the AI power map, we're moving it off the planet. Quantic, what do you think about all this?
It's too long. That's the first thing that I think it's like, I wanna like I wanna know the point. What is the point here? The point is like, Elon doesn't like Sam Altman. Dario
Correct.
doesn't like Sam Altman, so they are aligning to crush the competition, sort of.
Exactly. So yeah. So apparently, Sam or Elon helped co-found OpenAI. He got pissed because they started off as an open source company, but now they switched to a for-profit company, which pissed Elon off. And now he's in a lawsuit against OpenAI. And now to get back at Sam Altman, who there's clearly a lot of contention going on between them, he's partnering up with Anthropic and letting Anthropic use an insane amount of their computational power from SpaceX to just jack up the performance of Opus. And so that's why all of the rates have become so much more efficient, so much better for Anthropic users all across the world, is because of this partnership. Plus, because they are giving Anthropic all of this compute power, they are going to be getting paid up the wahoo for for all of that as well. So it sounds like it's just like a win-win-win situation for Elon in all realms. He gets back at Sam. He gets a huge amount of profit, plus for their IPO coming up for SpaceX, and with the partnership with XAI, it's just he's just going to be raking it in. So I think I hope that covers the most important ones. I tried to make it as concise as I possibly could, but it's a complex story and there's a lot to it here. So definitely some interesting drama. I'm not surprised it got so much attention on X.
Yeah, I'm not so surprised either. But I don't know, like if I'm a builder, what is the value of this? Um, I guess you just sit down and watch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because like that's one thing we know about AI is that things change so fast. Just like they said in that review 3 months ago, Elon was throwing shade at Anthropic here, and he made a complete 180 shift to his stance against them. And now he's like on their side, making deals. Says he did not sense any evil people. His evil radar didn't go off at all. So who knows what's going to happen in another 3 months? Like things are so volatile, it's absolutely crazy. But for the time being, if you are using Anthropic products, just enjoy the extra credits that you guys get. Enjoy the extra performance. Enjoy it. Hopefully, it will last. I really do hope that. So, yeah, I think that about covers that. Any kind of final thoughts on that?
No, I don't have any thoughts on that. Just use the credits.
Just use the credits. Exactly. Take advantage of it while you can. Excellent. Shall we go over maybe one more interesting story? This one's specifically about Claude as well. This one's quite a bit shorter. It's only a couple, two paragraphs, I think.
The paragraph is this you're getting all of this from the summary from Cloud, right? Like you're asking an agent to do the research,
Yes.
and then give you the summary.
Yes.
And the summary is not so much of a summary.
This last one wasn't. They have been up until this one. I thought I would keep this one a little bit longer just because there's so much to it. And I just wanted to make sure that we actually get to the bottom of all this drama that's going on here. But in hindsight, it was too long. And well, in the future, I'll keep them nice and short.
This is like the question here is like, okay, we're talking here if Hermes or OpenClaw is better. So I'm wondering, did you use any of these for this particular task so we can do like a sort of benchmark out of this experience?
I used Claude, Opus 4.7. I did not use Hermes or OpenClaw for this.
Gotcha. And
Mhm.
in Cloud, what do you have in terms of like subscription? Do you have you pay by API tokens or what?
I have the pro plan, so I pay, I think it's like $20 a month, and
Yeah,
then I buy just tokens as I need them for what is it, Cloud Console and Cloud Code.
right.
But yeah,
Cool. No, it's good to know. Have you ever asked it if it can set up for you Hermes or OpenClaw?
I have. That was actually part of the conversation that I was having earlier this week. I will say full disclosure, I haven't actually dove in too deeply into Hermes yet. I have gotten to the point where I've loaded it up, but I actually had a question about that I wanted to ask you, which I think is was relevant to actually talk live on stream, and it's a bit about the security component of that. So it's like
Uh,
because maybe should I hold off on that question for now, or should we? Or
let's just finish with the news. Hopefully, we can connect that to the next topic, which is Hermes versus OpenClaw.
perfect, perfect. Let's do it here. So let me just pull up. Uh, Let me just pull up some news for this one here. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Sharing my screen. All right, can you see that? All right,
Yes, sir.
perfect. So story number two, and this one actually connects a little bit more to last week's stream. So this is Claude Mythos and Project Glasswing, the model that broke cybersecurity policy. So basically, in a nutshell, Anthropic launched Project Glasswing, a controlled program giving select organizations, of them including Apple, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, access to unreleased frontier model called Claude Mythos Preview. The mission of this was to find and patch critical software vulnerabilities before attackers could exploit them. So apparently the numbers are insane. In a few weeks of internal testing, Mythos identified thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities across every major operating system and every major web browser, including a 27-year-old bug sitting in OpenBSD, which I don't really know what that is, but apparently nobody had ever caught it for 27 years, which is wild. So, according to the State of AI report, Mythos and OpenAI's GPT 5.5 both cleared a 32-step end-to-end cyber attack range in a single month. The UK's AI Security Institute now estimates frontier offensive cyber capability is doubling every 4 months. And Anthropic decided Mythos is too dangerous to release publicly. They restricted access to 12 partner organizations under Glasswing. And on May 5th, Dario Amodei publicly called for new rules and regulations around powerful model releases, which is rare to see a Frontier Lab CEO actively asking the government to regulate them harder. So what do you think about that? That's an interesting one because I know last week we spoke about Claude Capybara and how it was leaked to the world essentially, and stock prices dropped immensely. Now we're talking about Claude Mythos and how much like security leaks, or not security leaks necessarily, but security concerns. All of these massive companies are actually exposed to through Glasswing here. So yeah, a bit more of a complex topic here, but any initial thoughts coming to your mind on that?
I mean, we created a tool for at least covering the step zero, which is at least get an external opinion of the security of your code. I don't know if you have time to check it out, Trav. Did you check it out? Like, do you have any public repo that perhaps we can throw in?
Let me take a quick look here. I think I have one for GitHub for the interface for OBS actually. Let me pull
Yeah,
that up
okay.
here real quick.
That can be interesting, right? Because you can go to Shipguard right now, and plug that URL of that public repo, and it's gonna tell you, okay, where are you at on a basic security checkup? Again, this is not like, the super app that is going to solve security for you, but it's like the
Mhm.
very minimum that you should be doing. And I can assure you, because I run it with many code, like many source code of interesting DeFi protocols, that you can find easily things to improve, let's put it that way, in terms of security.
That makes a ton of sense. All right, let me pull up ShipGuard here, which if you guys are interested in using this, it is free. So definitely check us out on X, web3 underscore matters. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a recent post from Quantic himself where he goes into all of the details here. And the link is there on the bottom. It is powered by Ship. The website I'll read it to you guys here now is theshipguard.vercel.app. And that's with two P's, of course, here. So just pulling up my GitHub repository here. Here we go. I'll do the Web3 OBS overlay. Now, actually, here's a question. How do I get the actual link?
From your GitHub repository.
Yeah, is it just the yeah, exactly. So I've pulled it open here. Here, maybe I'll
um
share this screen here because I've never
you
done
can
this
just
before.
copy paste on your browser, right?
Okay, here we go. All right, heading over to ShipGuard. Does that look like it's an appropriate link?
Yeah, it could be.
All right, let's scan it. Hey, all
There
right,
you go. That was really quick.
94%. So what do we have here? The category scores. We've got repository hygiene is 78, so low score. Dependencies and supply chain is 100. Secrets and configuration is also 100. I'm gonna get rid of this overlay here. Finding good practices not detected here. No package or JSON detected. Understandable. No deployment configuration detected. All right. Wow, this is really cool. So this is the raw markdown here. What I'd actually be interested in is to throw the Beehive newsletter, like the JSON, the ENV, and can you throw markdowns onto GitHub as well?
You can of course to your project on GitHub you can create a markdown. Yeah, you can add files there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious to do that for the Beehive newsletter automation
Yeah, you
package.
should definitely do it, man. Like, I if it is not for private repos though, you have to take that into account because
Mm,
if I ask people to do that, I will have to ask for OAuth
mm,
connection. And we saw that there were some issues last week, so I was like, yeah, let's roll it out with this first version and then see where it take us. I'm already hearing some good things. It's been useful for people that are vibe coders and people that are starting like their developer journey, such as
okay,
yourself, including. So it should be helpful.
that's awesome. That's cool here. I'm seeing here back to the screen share. You can download the markdown file here or copy it. That's really neat as well. Did you put any further thoughts into being able to make like a downloadable step by step or like a prompt package available for users so that they can actually just put the prompts in that ShipGuard can generate for them to help fix these issues?
Yeah, for sure. I thought about it and it's possible. We tested a small test, not like production ready. The thing is though, like, adding more features at this stage and then doing the whole security checkup again and the deployment and everything is like you have to think once you launch a prototype. This is something that many entrepreneurs miss, right? Which is like once you launch a prototype, you can collect for a lot of feedback from people, and that's great. And keep building on that, or you can focus on something that you really want to see, right? In our case, it's like we're doing this for free for the broad community, but like very basic, and everything else we want to do it for holders, right? And for people that are
Mm,
providing value to ourselves as well. So if you scroll down, you will see that this app is powered by Ship, and you can participate there. But the point is that for more features, I would add something that at least brings those benefits first to our holders. Does
mm.
that make sense?
Okay, that makes a ton of sense, and I do wish we were streaming at this point on Pump so our holders could hear that here. But I digress. I will definitely make a clip of that and share with them here. So yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense here, and I like that. I like that addition here on the bottom. How you can see that it's powered by Ship, and you have the contract address here that you can copy as well. That's a nice detail that you added. Makes it very easy for people to actually connect.
Yeah,
Perfect, my
that
man.
was the idea, man.
Excellent, excellent. Well, so here's where we're at. I'm just gonna take a moment and we'll reset the room here. And once I do that, then we can move forward. But just to kind of touch base with you there, Quantic, we do have a couple other news articles or news stories we can talk about here, or we can get to the actual topic at hand today, which of course is here's why Hermes is better than OpenClaw. I want to give you the torch here. What do you feel like we should carry on to after I reset the room?
It feels like we have half an hour, so we should probably go and talk about the main thing. Though I would be curious if there is any news about Hermes and OpenClaw that you can highlight. And if not, in the meantime, you can also ask perhaps to Claude to perform a comparison between Hermes and OpenClaw and give it like his most brutally honest feedback on it.
I love it. I will do that. I will do that. I'm not seeing anything specifically about Hermes and or Hermes or news articles that Claude found about Hermes, but I will definitely do that research. I'll get the brutal honesty comparison between OpenClaw and Hermes, and we'll definitely share that here as well. But before I do that here, I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this conversation here today. My name is Trav. This is Quantic. Once again, we are Web3 Matters, and today we are talking about why Hermes is better than OpenClaw. And we're going to get into that right now. So, Quantic, why don't you take the mic and get us into that topic here? And while you do that, I will start that deep dive into the unbiased review of OpenClaw versus Hermes from Claude.
Right, I can do that. In fact, we now switch and I am sharing my screen. I guess you can see here Hermes versus OpenClaw final comparison report prepared by us with the help of Hermes, but double check with any other tool, like including Grok, right? And the verdict is clear. At this stage, Hermes is the stronger primary agent. Here in this case, the analysis was done for our purposes, right? Like the work that we do with Web3 Matters and the shipyard community. But this is a general result in the sense that if you use both, eventually you will figure it out that Hermes is just works better. And I'm telling you this as someone that has been running little experiments here and there and actually has the worst possible setup for Hermes, which is with Windows, right? If you have Windows, you have to have like the Linux subsystem thing. I don't remember the exact name, WSL or whatever. And you have to install it from there and then interact with Hermes from there. Of course, you can set up your Telegram to interact with it as well, and it's gonna be fine. And here I have like the open sessions, right? I had to open a special terminal here for Ubuntu or for Linux really to run Linux inside window. This take a little bit of time, but what I did and what I would recommend for normal people that don't want to spend too much time figuring out all the settings stuff and doing things manually, you can just open up Cloud Code on your terminal and ask it if it can, install Hermes for you. And the answer is yes, it can. And it's going to actually take a little bit. So I have to say, the first thing to admit here is that none of these agents, OpenClaw or Hermes, are at a stage in which I would say most normal people will be fine installing it and using it. I think it's quite the contrary. And there is a significant gap there, meaning an opportunity, right? So essentially, at some point, it's going to become trivial to do this, perhaps on a web browser, installing with one click or whatever. Right now it is not there, but it makes sense. Why it makes sense? Because we're first it's early, and two, there is like just too many parameters and things you can configure. It's like quite powerful, and also you have this Windows versus Linux thing and whatever. So let me see. What are you doing now? I'm just gonna ask here. What are you doing now?
That's awesome. Look, while you're doing that here, Quantic, quick question here for you. I don't know if you covered this. I wasn't entirely paying attention, but is there a benefit to running it through Linux as opposed to just Windows or iOS?
No, it's what I said is like it's actually um it is the worst possible setup in terms of like making it hard to get started. Yeah, just go with Hermes and go with Windows, and it's like it can be a little bit of a pain. But again, I do want to stress that all you have to do really, if you don't want to spend time with it, is just like open up a new terminal. Here, I just open up a new terminal. You can type Claude, right? And once Claude is awake, you can ask if it can install Hermes. Here I'm gonna ask, have you installed Hermes on my laptop? I'm gonna put system just to make it more clear. Um, so it's thinking now. So look at this. I have now you start seeing what productivity really looks like. It
Hmm.
looks like having one terminal with cloud code, and then you have another thing with Hermes, and then you can have another one for OpenClaw, and you can connect multiple of these just having $20 subscription with the Codex or ChatGPT and with Cloud Code, and you can it's just insane.
Wow,
Let me run this command. I'm going to allow my system to run this command.
that is wild that you can do all of that simultaneously. Actually.
Yeah, and look, and it gets like even more crazy because once you have set up Hermes, the most useful thing that you will probably do is to uh oh, can you see my Telegram screen
Yep,
there or
I
not?
can see it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. It was just I just had another terminal on top, so I couldn't see. What I'm saying is that um you have many sessions now that you can run in parallel for $40 essentially because it's like having both Cloud Code and Codex or ChatGPT subscription.
Mhm.
Uh, what was the question again? Sorry, I just got distracted for a second.
That wasn't a question, just an observation that it's pretty amazing how you could run both of like all of these simultaneously at the same time. And you were talking about from a productivity standpoint, it's a pretty amazing example of what you can do of how it levels up your productivity. Yeah.
So yeah, and actually, like here, I have asked, what are all the things that you have taught me so far? Because what I did was like getting Hermes on my local machine, and I don't know how to get started, so I asked it, how should I get started? What can I do with you? And what are
Yeah.
things that are useful for you? And there is one critical thing, Trav, that I want to cover, which is give your initial context of who are you. So if I ask you, who are you, Trav, would you be able to answer?
If I were to be able to tell you who I am, I can give you a very vague answer. I don't know if it would be on point. I can give you somewhat of an idea, but that would be difficult for me to answer actually.
It is hard, but you know
Yeah,
who can answer that for you in just a few minutes and with a lot of clarity?
I'm gonna guess Hermes.
Hermes, not yet, because you need to tell it and use it, and it's gonna learn. That's for sure, and that's the number one feature that makes it like pretty unique.
Mhm,
But no, you can just ask the AI the LLM really. And when I say
mhm,
AI, it's like I mean the LLM, the
yeah.
LLM that you use the most. Which is the LLM that you use the most?
Right now it's Claude.
Okay, so you should open a session and ask, um, tell me who am I based on everything we have ever discussed.
That's wild, and I know that Claude recently upgraded, the functionality to where it's better able to remember all of the previous sessions that you've had and integrate it into each and every chat, so yeah. Here, do you want me to actually do that?
Do it. Yeah, run all of these things you can run in parallel, right? You can run many things now in parallel. Like I said, like you just have to have your terminal open and it's gonna work. Like look at me right now. I have Hermes here and I have Cloud on another one, and it's gonna work fine. It's like it's just that this is the reason why people get so addicted because once you can manage yourself to have one tool working for you on a daily basis, let's say you just use like ChatGPT for writing.
Mhm.
Once you're using that every single day, you clearly are not going to stop using it because it's freeing you time, right? It's making you
Yeah.
more productive. Then you master another one, let's say Cloud Code for prototyping like very simple apps. It doesn't have to be like a fuel feature product. It can be like super simple stuff. But then you have two skills that you are now, taking advantage of with LLMs and these AI tools, right? And then it comes the next level, which is this one, which is orchestrating different sources of intelligent machines to do work. And this is the reason why people that are tinkering with this technology go deep and they get because the unlock is just massive, but it's super clear how it is, right? So one thing that I want to share here on the screen is how to um, make the most out of Hermes because you understand context.
Mm,
The number one thing, you have multiple tools now, right? You have ChatGPT, you have Gemini, you have Cloud Code, but they don't have consciousness about or memory about what you're doing on your other sessions, right? You cannot just
mm,
ask Gemini, what am I talking with ChatGPT, right?
correct.
Um, but if you start using your agent with Hermes, it will learn from your behavior and the things that you ask it. It will still not be connected with others, but you can ask it to help you keep track of the things that you discuss with these other AIs and what should be the prompt that you should give each and how to create a system for sharing files and information so that they are all kind of in sync. And
Mm,
when you start doing that kind of thing, it becomes like crazy because then you will have one tool, like I said, Cloud Core only for prototyping apps, and then you will go to Gemini only for research, and then you will have your Hermes agent learning about how you utilize all of these tools and what is the best of each, and then your agent is going to be able to do this. Right now, it taught me about the difference between persistent memory, which is like short and durable facts Hermes should remember always, right? And desktop context folders, which are richer project docs, drafts, specs, examples, and working files, and session history, which are things it can search back through when needed, right?
mm,
And it also told me, like, look, based on the file that I gave it about who am I, which by the way, what I did was I used ChatGPT the most or historically, because that was the first one. I asked ChatGPT and it gave me like 8 pages of who am I in detail because I asked it to give it to me in detail. Then I cleaned that file with things. It wasn't really it wasn't really me who I used at that time, and it got it wrong, or things I just considered irrelevant. And I keep all the relevant things about what are the current things that I use AI for creating content, analyzing things, doing research, just asking questions about the specific topics. So I have this very large file about who am I, and then Hermes is telling me, look, this is the best way to utilize me by creating this folder separated on the main topics that are relevant for you on based on who you are, right? Or what you do in general. So I have one for myself, right? Which are like for personal stuff, content creation, whatever, research. Then you have Flare. Of course, I work at Flare, so a lot of the things that I create in terms of documents or things that I'm thinking or analyzing are related to Flare. So I want everything there, and that has to be like very accurate, technical, research driven. Then they have proof rails, which, as this is like my B2B project, so to speak. I'm creating here things that are gonna be useful for in terms of like financial infrastructure itself, right? So this is like a completely separate thing from the rest of the things. Of course, is built on top of Flare, but other than that, like in terms of like the goal with preference is like completely different, right? It's a separate task. And then you have what we do with Web3 Matters and the Shipyard, which is again a different type of audience, a different goal, different type of tasks. So this is a way in which I'm organizing my life now, and it has been the most incredible thing. I can even run entire operations from my phone just with a couple, back and forth with Hermes. But you have to give it access to things in order to get better. And perhaps here I want to pause, and you might have some questions.
Okay, first of all, this you've already very much blown my mind as to the capabilities of Hermes. That was actually going to be one of my first questions that I wanted to ask to Hermes when I got it up or when I get it sorted on my computer here is what can I do with you? And already that just makes so much sense just to keep everything so systematized, so organized, and having those different pillars of your life kind of quantic your personal work, your personal life, um, Web3 Matters, Flare, and then wow, I'm drawing a blank, Proof Rails as well. And then how it has those kind of absolutely necessary kind of folders that your agent has to actually um, refer to every single time that it's going to do something for you in each one of those specific pillars just makes so much sense. That's really freaking cool. And actually, maybe that actually leads me to a good my the question that I wanted to ask you before, and kind of the hesitation I had to actually go through with it. And this one specifically is to do with um, uh, kind of concerns that arose from our previous live stream about AI security and the security crisis that's happening. I hear that running Hermes or running OpenClaw on your computer that you use from day to day could be a security concern in terms of being being able to, or I don't know, hackers or whatever, being able to access your own personal computer and all of your information here. And I know there's like cloud service that's now part of the conversation as well. Are there any security concerns that I need to be aware of before downloading Hermes onto the computer that I use on a day-to-day basis, or what does that
Yeah.
look like?
So the first thing is to assume things can go wrong. So
Mm,
I would approach it the other way, which is like, if this thing something happens, right? There is a prompt injection, or I gave approval for something I shouldn't have, and I just made a mistake, and something goes wrong. What would be the consequences of that? So I'm not touching crypto on this machine in which I'm using Hermes, right? I'm just not.
okay.
I have some test funds here and there, but like forget about it. For crypto, just have separate things and like everything ultra protected with multi-sig, hardware wallet, you name it, and not connected to the internet.
Yeah.
Um, then you know, I'm okay if I lose a couple of passwords here and there that are like minor things. So I'm taking that risk, so to speak, right? But then like important things, yeah, all important files, all important, let's say, security certificates, or things that are like very critical for me to keep living my life, those are separate, right? Like if things go wrong here, it can go wrong, and it has enough context so that it can be useful for me to use it on a day to day, but also not so catastrophic if the worst thing were to happen. And why am I taking this approach? And I suggested actually is because this is the only way in which you're gonna be re- okay, even if things really don't work. Because let's face it, like what we have seen during these past few weeks is like the level of security threat affects every software everywhere, and there are no security guarantees, right? So what do you do when you know that that's going to happen? You just take that risk inherently in your mind and work from the worst case scenario.
That makes a ton of sense. That makes okay, perfect. So I'm glad that we had this conversation, and I'm glad I didn't get Hermes right away, because I do still have some funds here, especially or crypto funds that I should, um, yeah, remove from this computer here. So I will definitely do that. And yeah, no, kind of the worst case scenario here. Definitely something, especially these days, especially after our last live stream talking about how vulnerable um, people are in general now that AI is at the level at which it is I think is huge alpha that that everyone needs to take away in all aspects of their life here. So looking at the screen that you're sharing here now, I like what I'm seeing. I'll also report back to you. I had that chat with Claude, and I also have a I did a 5 round battle between Hermes and OpenClaw, and I got a very concise, honest take for each category here. So I'd be curious to kind of compare notes and see who the winner is and why.
Right. I'm gonna, because in honor of time, so that you can share that, I'm very excited. Like here is clearly Hermes.
Yeah.
The winner is not like, the main thing in terms of like, it wins in every single category, and it's like
Wow.
very, very superior. No, it's not like that. It's like there are some, uh, there is an executive verdict actually. Something like
Mm.
Hermes should be the primary system. OpenClaw is a strong secondary experiment for personal assistant and gateway workflows, but Hermes is a better fit for cumulative. technical work, source backed research, project memory, and this is key, code and file operations, scheduled jobs, and everything related to the execution of the tasks of Web3 matters and whatever. The suggestion now is to choose Hermes for research, writing, technical drafts, coding, scheduled monitoring, project memory, Telegram execution, and repeatable workflows. And it tells you to choose OpenClaw for local first personal assistant experiments, uh, you basic UI stuff, and native window test. Yeah, this is something to highlight, which is like OpenClaw. If you're using uh, Windows, it's like more easy, but it's okay. Like again, you can ask Cloud Code to do that for you, and it's gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop there, Traf.
Yeah, first of all, just my reaction to that here is that actually checks out. There, I have some trusted individuals who I watch a lot of their content on YouTube for, um, like vibe coding, OpenClaw, Hermes, and all that. And that seems to be a consensus. Is that Hermes is very capable when it comes to technical things, when it comes to coding, all of that stuff here. But OpenClaw seems to have a bit more of a personality where it can actually get to know you better, can actually respond with more character, more life. So my I also wonder if OpenClaw might be better for content creation as well, based on that here. But
I
the
think
only
that
way to
the
find out,
best ways you would have to run the experiment, right? Like the
yes,
best thing is like just do it, but you have to do it with the same LLM actually. So I
mm,
don't know how
understood.
different is going to be the
That
end
makes a ton of
result.
sense. And of course, for anyone who may not be aware, that's the Claude versus um, ChatGPT debate, I guess, at that point, which like how that would differ. Um, and I'm actually very curious about that because I still don't have my ChatGPT subscription. I'm fully on Claude at the moment, so I'd be very curious to know how that differed doing running Hermes, running OpenClaw on one versus the other. It's very intriguing here.
Okay, so question for you, Trump, because we have around 10 more minutes, or oh, we can extend 15, I think. Uh, but my question to you is, did you got the information about who you are from your main LLM? The reason is because if you don't have that, starting with Hermes and get like the productivity unlock, it can take quite more time because you're gonna have to kind of figure it out in terms of like what should I like what should be the way I use Hermes because there are many ways and many things that it can do, right? But that really depends on how you're already using your LLMs on a daily basis, right? Um,
Yes, to answer your question, yes, I do have it. It's not 8 pages, but, it's bang on. I simply asked it, "Tell me who I am based off all of the conversations we've had together." So I could, ask it again to give me a much more detailed breakdown here, but it's definitely eerie how much information it does have on me because I've been using it for personal questions as well as professional questions here as well. I use it for most things. So it's pretty wild how much information it has.
so okay, let's do the experiment then, if possible. I don't know. Let's see. Do you have Hermes already on your computer?
I do not know. No, I do not. I can in like 50 seconds if you'd like, I can pull up Hermes right now.
Yeah,
Here, I'm just gonna. My camera's killing me here. One sec.
it's okay.
There we
I like
go.
your new setup, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I changed offices in the house here, so this one gives me a lot more adaptability. I don't have to use this green screen like I was using before here, so it's kind of nice. Okay, so pulling up Hermes. So do I install it in Claude Code or do I install it in um, the Claude? Or I'll have to do it on Claude right now because I don't
So,
have
can you
OpenAI.
perhaps just to give you a hand with this, perhaps I stop sharing my screen and you can share yours?
Sure. Perfect. So I have here, actually, you know what might be easier is if I do this.
Oh, okay. So you're on the web page, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so just ask your cloud code to install Hermes. Just as simple
Okay.
as that.
Perfect. Perfect. Here. Where is okay, I guess I'll do this. Okay. Can you see this?
Yeah. Oh, but you're not using it via the terminal, right? You're using it on the app.
Yes. I
Okay,
can pull
I'm
up the
curious.
terminal though. I think I have connected it to the terminal.
Yeah, that's the way to use it. So if you type there cloud, okay.
Oh, object not found.
Oh wait, are you using also a Windows system as well?
Yes, this is yeah, Windows.
Okay, so yeah, I can tell you that you're gonna struggle because the way you go about this is like you start first with the with Claude, like on time Windows, and then it's gonna prompt you to do a bunch of things in order to get Hermes up and running.
Mm,
So it seems that we could cover the setup, but it can be a little bit too tedious, and there are already tutorials for this on
okay.
YouTube.
Gotcha then. So we'll hold off on this for now, but maybe I'll get this set up for next week and I'll also get the rest of my crypto off my computer and we could do this. Actually,
Yeah,
yeah, next week actually to our viewers, we have a special guest for next week, which we'll get into here in a sec. But so maybe either we could do it before or after chatting with our guest, or we could have it entirely different live stream and share and do this then as well. But we'll talk about that behind the scenes. But if you guys do have a preference, definitely let us know here. So yeah, we'll hold off on that then for now. So to finish off our last couple of minutes here, did you have anything else in mind that you'd like us to talk about? Should I bring up the conversation that I had with Claude about Hermes versus OpenClaw, or what are your thoughts here?
I think we can do the following thing to have a nice end of the session. First of all, let me share again my screen here because what I'm going to do is just show you what is like the answer from Hermes itself in terms of like what information you should share so that it knows, right?
Mm,
Because there is a core thesis here which is like I figured out that the best way to get up to speed with Hermes is first skip anything in relation to the configuration. Just use a machine that you are willing to commit, and then ask Cloud Code to take the reins, right, and install things for you. And second, create a file that tells you who you are from your most used LLM, so that then you start with persistent context for Hermes to know
mm,
who are you really, what is it that you're using these tools, and what do you work on, whatever, right? Where's your style, for instance, for writing and whatnot. um so yeah, those are the things that I'm sharing from my perspective that I think are gonna work for everyone. However, I think it's worth checking also with Hermes in terms of like, what's the answer here in terms of like what should I share, right?
mm,
um the answer here, Trav, is if you just install Hermes, the best thing to share is not random context, right? Share a structured operating profile, who you are, what you work on, where your files live, how you like your output, and what Hermes is allowed to do.
mm.
Okay? So here's giving you everything, like the template and everything, right?
Wow.
Um, and then let's cover the most important aspect here, which is actually what it mentioned here, which is like what Hermes is allowed to do. Okay, so what's your suggestion for this, right? What's your suggestion for this? Because there is a trade-off here that most people do not realize, which is like security and probably privacy against efficiency and productivity, and having a really true personalized agent that learns from you and improves itself. I think the feeling it's amazing after a while. um Use this as your default rule. Hermes can freely work inside a specific folder, but must ask before touching the outside world. So it's
Wow.
telling you quite literally, and it's giving you a sort of file here, I think. uh Hermes permissions, it created an MD file that has all the details about, run safe read only commands. It's like taking all the measures of security that you would need just because you are asking, right? So learning how to ask the right question is going to be a tremendous of lot of productivity and value for everyone who really takes the time to actually ask the right questions here.
Brilliant. That is okay. I'm starting to get a sense of how powerful this is here. So let me ask you another question here, Quantic. After using Hermes now for X amount of weeks, days, however long it's been, do you have any concerns from kind of a security standpoint of letting it kind of have free reign inside your computer?
Oh, I gave up. I want to be super clear about this. Like the way I'm currently would evaluate how am I using Hermes and Cloud Code and everything on my machine, I would say it's probably not very secure. And the reason I say this is like, as you have seen, I'm asking all of these LLMs, keep me safe. What should I give you access? How to use it? But even so, when I'm building things, you're giving permissions to certain commands that can execute other pieces of code. And if there is something installed on my system that is not good, it can be catastrophic, right? So I'm being very honest about that with myself, in with the rest of our audience here. Of course, there is a risk if you want to have this level of power and customization. There is no escaping of that, as far as I know. But I mean, you can follow the best practices. And you know what, Trav? We can actually help with that from our shipyard and Web3 Matters community, and actually add, some sort of resource about best practices for starting
Mm.
with Hermes and with Cloud Code and all that.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I'm thinking, yeah, we should definitely do that. We should also make a video together about that. Just I think that would perform really, really well. Maybe title it something along the lines of best practice for new AI agent users. We can make it a little bit more broad. We can touch on Hermes. We can touch on OpenClaw. But I think that right there is what stopped me in my tracks. Like I got as far as having the conversation with Claude on prepping myself to actually make this happen. I went to the Hermes website. Was ready to copy and paste the deployment codes and all of that stuff here. But then I started considering, what are the implications of this? This I have everything on this computer, everything, and except for private keys and all that fun stuff. But we won't go there. Um, and so, like, what am I exposing myself to? What am I exposing all that data to by just without even considering the consequences? Just uploading this agent who will have free reign to my computer, like what's going to happen. So yeah, I need to be aware of that stuff. Our audience needs to be aware of that stuff because this is the trend is that this is going to be more and more prevalent. It's going to be more and more easy to access. It's going to be more necessary to access. So yeah, I think that would be huge. Is what sort of format do you think did you have in mind to kind of release this information? Was it through a live stream? Was it through a video? Through a written document? What are your thoughts?
I think we can give it as a resource for the people in our community. So here's the thing. Right now, we have been creating, reports, information that is useful for you guys if you're navigating AI and crypto in general, and we're giving everything for free. But I think it's time to start having token gated content, meaning things
Mm,
that you can unlock for being a ship holder. I think we're gonna go into that direction. So give me some time until next week to see if I can have a very basic app that you can unlock content and PDFs and interesting files, information, research provided by us if you're a ship holder. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Let's definitely give back to all of the people who've invested in us, and I think that's a great way to get it started here. So yeah, I'm fully down. Perfect.
I think we can close today with the summary from Cloud Code so that everybody has like different angles.
Perfect. Let's do that. Also, before we get into that, I just want to mention to our audience here that next week we have a special guest. And I think this one really fits the narrative we've been running about AI, in particular security. So here, let me just pull up my screen. The company's called Neptune Privacy. It's a quantum safe layer one, combining ZK Starks and proof of work, providing a private programmable ecosystem built for global scale. So I'm really excited to have these guys join us next Friday. We're going to be talking about the work that they're doing, but we're also going to get into the broader topic of specifically quantum safe programs, computing on blockchain. We'll definitely get into AI around this as well, because that's super applicable to all of this stuff here. I'm curious to kind of pose the question about, how are they taking measures to protect themselves against things like Claude Capybara, where these weapons that people are going to have access to kind of breach different protocols, etc. How they're preparing for that, what their thoughts are on that. If you guys have any burning questions for Neptune Privacy, definitely let us know. Drop a comment, drop us a DM. We'll make sure to ask those as well. But yeah, really excited to have these guys on. It seems like a really awesome team. I've spoke with them before, and just we've had awesome conversations. And I'm excited to connect them with you as well, Quantic. They're very educated people, and as are you. So I'm curious to see some of the conversation that you guys have between each other here. So let's get into Claude. Let's see here. So we had a 5-round battle between Hermes and OpenClaw. So yeah, there were 5 rounds. Round one is architecture. Round two is security. Round three is ecosystem and maturity. Round four is speed of iteration. And round five is spirit and ethos. Basically, I'll just get to the final scorecard. So Hermes wins 4 rounds, OpenClaw wins one, but the round OpenClaw wins is ecosystem maturity, and that's the round that pays your bills if you ship in production. So the honest verdict: Hermes is the better bet for the next 2 years. OpenClaw is the better bet for the next 2 weeks. Which one matters more depends on what you're building. So for our audience, crypto native, builder first, allergic to lock-in, Hermes is the natural fit. For Fortune 500 deploying agents Monday morning with 5 enterprise integrations, OpenClaw still gets the job done. Hermes is the better agent. OpenClaw is still the more practical one. Whether better beats practical depends on what you're building for the next month or next quarter. So the second question, and I'm gonna pass the mic over to you before I get into this one, Quantic, is the recent news on Hermes, and we have a couple of them here. I can just quickly mention the headlines, but what are your thoughts on the final scorecard for OpenClaw versus Hermes? Does that kind of fit what you found?
I think it does, but bottom line, I think people will have different opinions. Like there is broad consensus though that Hermes is better at this stage, so I want that to be clear. The main reason is because of how it can improve. It creates skills each time you interact with it. So it finishes something, it learns something, and it adds as a skill, right?
Oh, cool.
And that makes a significant difference for the experience. Yeah, but the rest is like, yeah, it's fine. I agree.
Perfect, perfect. So let's see here. I think the most interesting one. So there's the obvious, most recent news update, which was yesterday. Hermes ships V0.13.0, the Tenacity release yesterday. So it's a durable multi-agent Kanban with heartbeat, reclaim, and zombie detection. Interesting. I don't know what that means, but that sounds cool. It's got persistent goal tracking that locks the agent on a target across turns, called the Ralph Loop, and then security hardening wave, Google Chat support added, 295 community contributors. This is a huge release, apparently, 864 commits since the last version. Um, the other interesting one is from May 1st. Hermes officially passes Claude code in GitHub stars. It crossed 100K stars in 7 weeks, faster than LangChain, faster than AutoGPT, faster than any agent framework on record. So go Hermes.
I mean, go Hermes. I think it's a good way to close here because I want to see you, Trav, using it so that you can tell us from your perspective. It's different when you're non-technical, right?
Yes,
Um, so I wanna see it. So move your valuable things or install Hermes on another computer that you use for work and let us know next week.
perfect. I absolutely will. So definitely tune in, everyone. We'll wrap it up right now. Unless you had any final thoughts there, Q.
The newsletter, how is it going? We will have a new version when the next one? I guess it
Yes.
should be Monday now that we have our entire workflow.
Yes, we'll do Monday. I think that's a realistic time to commit to. It's been going really well. It's been going actually copying and pasting was quite a bit easier. I manually had to drop in some images. I haven't figured that out with Claude yet. It's not able to generate images and it's unable to copy any images from news articles because of copyright infringement and all that fun stuff. But it's easy enough that I can just copy and paste. Usually I make thumbnails and images anyway, so that's been pretty easy.
Yeah, I think we should have a tool for thumbnails and all of that that we can utilize, and perhaps we will vibe code something for the community as well.
I love it.
So thank you, Trav. Thank you, guys. Next week is gonna be exciting. We're gonna talk about the quantum risk among other topics. This is something that I wanted to cover for quite a long time. So excited about this. And make sure to participate of the Web3 Matters / Shipyard community. If you have any questions, complaints, we're gonna continue to build this very nice ecosystem. And of course, we will bring you some good news. Thank you so much, Trav. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Quantic. And just as a reminder to our audience here, if you guys want to access the recent tool that Quantic just released, ShipGuard, definitely check us out on X. Check out Quantic 0x Quantic on X. He published an entire post specifically on ShipGuard. You can also gain access through the Web3 Matters account, Web3_Matters. Just scroll down to the post that we reshared there, and it's free. And for anyone who's vibe coding, anyone who has public repos for things that they have vibe coded, simply copy and paste your link into ShipGuard, and it will give you quite a comprehensive security report, and then suggestions on how you can improve the security for your vibe coded product. And in saying that, tune in next week where we will be hosting Neptune Privacy, talking in about security, AI, quantum computing, quantum security, all of these awesome topics here. It's going to be a freaking blast. And that's it. So appreciate you guys. My name is Trav. This is Quantic. Together we are Web3 Matters, and we will see you guys next Friday, and we will see you on the timeline. Have a wonderful weekend.